What is going on, everyone, and Happy New Year to you all, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are here to discuss a new Netflix anthology series by the name of Kaleidoscope. Now, the question you all might have at home is, listen, I've seen the trailers, and Netflix seems to be leaning heavily on this non-linear storytelling where the episodes are all out of order to create this immersive experience. Is it just a cheap gimmick to get me to watch a series, or is it a cool viewing experience backed with great storytelling, great characters, and is this show worth checking out? We'll be discussing that and so much more in today's spoiler-free review. But before we get into it, I want to talk about this series with you all in the comments. Let me know if you were excited for it, if you heard of it, was it circled on your calendar? But more importantly, once you sat down and watched all 8 episodes, what'd you think about it? Let's talk about favorite moments, favorite episodes, favorite characters. What were some things that didn't work for you all in this series? And ultimately, what was it like watching this all out of order? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? But also, if you all are excited to talk about this series, go ahead and give your boy a thumbs up as well as share this review. With all that being said, for you all that aren't too familiar with this series, let me let you know what it's all about. Spanning 25 years, Kaleidoscope is an all-new anthology series following a crew of masterful thieves in their attempt to crack a seamlessly unbreakable vault for the biggest payday in history. Guarded by the world's most powerful corporate security team and with the law enforcement on the case, every episode reveals a piece of the elaborate puzzle of corruption, greed, vengeance, scheming, loyalties, and betrayals. The compelling crime anthology series takes a non-linear approach to storytelling, building intrigue and suspense uniquely, with the Netflix members each having a different immersive viewing experience. All the viewers will eventually see all the episodes, but the order in which they watch the episodes will affect their viewpoint on the story, the characters, and the questions and the answers at the heart of the heist. Let's just get this out of the way. Elliot, is this a cheap gimmick? Well, first off, if you all remember back in 2018, Netflix did something similar to this where they had their Black Mirror special movie Bandersnatch, which in that special, you as the audience got to pick and choose how the story was told to you. This is a little bit different because, number one, the story's already written. You can't pick and choose, but the order in which the episodes are presented to you is different for everyone. So let's talk about that. How did that work for me personally? Well, I will say it was different. It was interesting storytelling style in which we did get the episodes different and watch them, and it definitely changes your perspective on the characters and how the story's told. And I'll be honest with you all, I found myself after watching all 8 episodes, I went back and watched some of the earlier ones that were presented to me to be like, oh yeah, that was said in that episode, that little detail was there. So that was a kind of a unique experience, which ultimately brings me to the answer. Is it a cheap gimmick? Is it just a cheap ploy to get you all to watch the series? I personally don't think so. It actually, to me, made it a fun viewing experience. It was very immersive. Now, I will say I do believe that this type of story fits this type of storytelling because at the end of the day, it's very straightforward. It's not confusing. It's not overly complicated. It's a heist story. So we've seen these type of stories before. So I think actually the simplicity of the story benefits the viewing experience because you don't necessarily have to watch these episodes in order. Now, we'll get to my order a little bit later in which if it was good or bad, but ultimately this is a cool experience and I give kudos to Netflix. They did this 4 years ago and they're doing it again, and I think it's smart of them to continue to kind of reinvent us as the audience. Give us something new, keep us on our toes. We get that from the film industry, from black and white films to color to silent films to talkies to 3D to 4DX in the theaters. You gotta keep the audience guessing. You can't get stale. So I hope that Netflix continues to do this type of thing. Of course, again, the story has to meet the actual storytelling method, but overall, I thought the experience was pretty immersive and ultimately it was very entertaining for me. But switching over to these performances and these characters, starting off with the lead of the series, one and only Giancarlo Esposito, who is the lead and goes by Leo, aka Ray, and spoiler alert, y'all, he's fantastic in this series. He has not only the ability to have the range to allow you to completely understand his ways and understand his motives over this course of 25 years of the story. He's fantastic, as he always is, right? He's Gus. He's one of the best villains of all time, but he's actually a great character in this show, and I really like the details, the backstory, his motives, his family, what he fights for. I thought he was fantastic, but that doesn't come to any surprise, because again, he's a fantastic actor. What I was surprised by, and I was also impressed by, was the supporting cast. Kind of getting to some of these supporting actors. For example, we have characters such as Stan, who's the smuggler of the group, who I really thought was the levity of the show. We have a character by the name of Hannah, who is maybe connected to the good guys or the bad guys. You have to watch the show to find out, but she was great. RJ the driver was a lot of fun. You have Judy the chemist, who once you see the show, you'll know what I mean when I say this. Judy was for these streets, y'all. And when you see the show, you know what I mean. But I thought that she was interesting, as well as let's talk about Jai Courtney, who was one of those actors 10 years ago who Hollywood tried to force him on us with him being in stuff like Terminator or in the Die Hard series. It didn't really work out for him, in my opinion, being this megastar. But he's kind of built out his career. He's playing these little smaller roles. Of course, a lot of you all might have seen him in the Suicide films, but he's really great in this series. He starts off one way as kind of this goofy, smirk mouth, quick talking guy who can crack safes, but by the end of the series, he's a lot different from when you first meet him. I thought he was fantastic. But speaking of fantastic, my favorite character of this series went by the name of Ava. The actress that plays Ava, this was my first time being exposed to her. I know she's been in a lot of international films, and I know she's been in some U.S. projects, but this is just my first time seeing her. Wow, she was great. Ava was the funder of the group. She had all the money. She also provided the group with the weapons. She was just swagged out, the charisma, the charm, the line delivery, very attractive, I will say. She wasn't hard to look at, but Ava was great, man. She was my favorite character, which brings me to, let me know in the comments, who was your favorite character in the series? Again, mine was Ava. Let me know that in the comments below. But everyone, to me, within this crew that's getting to this heist, fit within their role. Everyone played their part well, and they checked off all the boxes. Again, you have the smuggler, you have the funder, you have the crack safer, you have all the pieces of the puzzle, and I thought that they all came together and they worked, they suited each other. They had some really good chemistry as well. So speaking of the heist elements, let's talk about that for a second. I really enjoyed that element of the show because it really felt fun to watch, and seeing these super detailed heist plans come about. And we got more than one heist in this series. We're seeing people being broken out of jail, to them trying to crack the safe, this unbreakable, impossible mission. It was fun. I really enjoyed that. Being a fan of the Ocean 13s, the Italian Jobs, this is a really well done heist show with, again, more than one heist, very elaborate plans that I really appreciated. And lastly, before we get into my criticisms, share with you all my order of how I watched the show. So go ahead and comment how you viewed the show. And as you can see on the screen now, this is the actual order in which the show was supposed to be presented, from episodes 1 to 8. And now breaking down how I saw the show from 1 to 8, my episode 1 was actually the green episode, which was 7 years before the heist, followed up by episode yellow, which was 6 weeks before the heist. Then I went to my third episode, which was the violet episode, 24 years before the heist. Then I had my orange episode, which was one of my favorites, which was 3 weeks before the heist. Transitioning to episode 5, which was blue for me, which was 5 days before the heist. Then I had my red, which was the morning after the heist. And then we had pink, which was another one of my favorites, which was 6 months after the heist. And then 8 was the white episode, which was the actual heist and how everything played out. So again, share your order in which you saw it and what were some of your favorite episodes. Let's talk about that in the comment section. But moving into my criticisms, and I'm going to say right off the bat, I personally, now again, the order was different from everyone, but I just wish that my 8th episode was actually the pink episode. My finale was the white episode. And again, it all makes sense once you see the series, but I ended on the white episode, which was the heist. I so wished that pink was my finale because it played out a lot better from the viewing experience. Again, there was nothing wrong with the episode. I just wish that my 8 was the pink episode versus the way I got it. Let me know what was your last episode in the comment section. But that was a criticism. And also, I will say, when it comes to the subplots, some of them didn't really satisfy me. They had some incomplete conclusions. I say that, and I'm using, for example, there's an FBI agent who's a expert at her job. She is just as good as solving cases as the thieves are, as, you know, getting to the heist and stealing things. She was a really good FBI agent, and she gets a backstory. We learn about her family, we learn about her addiction. She has a love interest, but it doesn't really end well. It doesn't have, like, when I say end well, it doesn't have a satisfying conclusion for me. And I wish we would have applied all her backstory, all her screen time. I wish it would have got applied to other characters. Like, I'll use Hannah, for example, who, again, she might have some ties to the good guys or bad guys, but Hannah, who's played by an actress who I'm a big fan of, I wish that all the backstory that we were given with the agent was given to her. I would have loved to have gotten more of Hannah's backstory with her and her relationship with Roger, her and her relationship with her new family, her sister, and of course more of her relationship with another character. So again, and I will say Hannah got a really satisfying conclusion, but I thought the buildup wasn't there because we spent more time with that FBI agent whose their conclusion was kind of a letdown for me. So some of those subplots, RJ, some of those characters to me just I wish were fleshed out more. And then lastly, I will say I personally was more invested in the episodes that were more connected to the heist, which was, 6 weeks before the heist, 7 days before the heist, the morning of, the morning after. Those episodes to me were the most entertaining, versus there were 2 episodes that were not necessarily connected directly to the heist. I believe there was the green episode and the violet episode. The green episode takes place 7 years before the heist, and the violet episode takes 24 years before the heist. And that episode in particular, it's a flashback episode, and I thought it was ridiculous. Number one, the hair and makeup and the way they applied so much makeup on making characters look younger just looked ridiculous. And again, some of the plots in there felt forced, didn't feel natural. So those were some of my weaker elements, and some of the elements of the experience that I just wish were a bit more entertaining compared to those of the heist. And last thing I'll mention, and I'll talk about this in a spoiler portion when I'm going to make a separate video, dive into the ending of the show, but there were some unanswered questions that I wish were resolved, and I don't think they will be because this is a limited series. So, and you'll know when I'm referring to some unanswered questions. Again, keep an eye out for that spoiler review. But before we get into my overall thoughts and if it is worth checking out, if you all haven't already, just a friendly reminder to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Overall, I have to say I really enjoyed myself watching this non-linear approach to storytelling, especially with a story like this, which again, it wasn't overcomplicated to follow. It was a good, suspenseful, impressive heist elements. It was fun, it had some interesting characters, and overall, it had some very entertaining moments. So, do I recommend you all watch this series? At the end of the day, the question is answered. I'm going to say yes, give it a watch. And when you do, share your experience in the comment section again from your favorite characters, favorite episodes, favorite moments. What were some things that didn't work for you all, and how did you view it? What was your first episode? What was your last episode? Share that in the comments below. I really appreciate y'all watching this breakdown, and again, I will be shooting a ending explain, kind of giving you my thoughts on how things played out and how I wished it would have played out. We'll talk about that in the spoiler review, but again, thank you so much. Just a friendly reminder again, before you all leave the video, like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You all are awesome. Hope you're having a great day. Again, Happy New Year to you all. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my other reviews for Netflix series. Check out my most recent review, and we'll catch you all on the next breakdown.